in order to participate in Yom Kippur, of course, which is the reason why we're doing the Press Box Fantasy Football Show on...
Oh, you don't have to be Jewish to.
I guess you could choose to participate. That's a good point. You could choose to participate if you wanted to. But if you are, then you're supposed to participate in Yom Kippur, which is why we're here. Press Box Fantasy Football Show. Glenn Clark, Kyle Ottenheimer, but most importantly, our lovely and talented host, Mr. Ken Zalis, who is back with us. What's going on, KZ?
I don't know. After last week, I was pretty sure that my career had ended. So,
Why is that?
It's a rough week.
It wasn't a good week for me. So
it was a rough week. I think like the one-on-one advice I gave was pretty solid. The rankings I put out for the world to see were my worst rankings in the 24 years that I have been doing.
No, but other than that,
so I was like, because you thought there were some really good predictions there. Like I was above what we call ECR, which is like the average on people that did well, like Tyson Williams. I mean, I had him as the 18th running back coming in, and everybody else had him 28 or lower. And there are a lot of things like that.
Where are you going to have him next week?
He's a tough one. I'm probably around 22, somewhere around there. It's a tough one with him.
We'll talk more about it in a second. We'll talk more about it.
But yeah, there are every year there's more and more people that get into these grading contests.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really contests, but they grade you. And I think this year's like 200.
Well, not with that attitude, it's not.
There's like 225 this year that are in it. And I think I finished 146.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. So tune in next week for the Press Box.
I haven't looked into the individual position rankings.
Yeah.
Usually I struggle with quarterbacks. I'm usually pretty good at running backs, but we'll see.
Tune in next week for the Press Box Fantasy Football Show with John Proctor.
That's right. May have someone else.
He had a good week last week. Need to hone your computer skills to boost your career, or maybe you want an IT certification? CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need, and it's all tuition-free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training. All right, I guess because we brought it up, let's start there. Entire picture for the Ravens backfield moving forward. I'm assuming your answer is probably don't play these guys.
I mean, it's tough to say that because the two guys that played both scored touchdowns, so they're both like...
But do you know what they're going to do next week?
They were both in the top 30 of running backs for the week. The problem is that Tyson Williams... looked great for a half and then received one touch the rest of the game. Now, I honestly have not, because I really didn't care to hear. I don't know if anybody has come out and said why.
They're not going
exactly this happens. On the post-game show, we kind of said maybe it was that fumble on the sideline, or maybe it had something to do
the mesh
with
point was
blocking.
an issue, and I think the blocking, especially going back and rewatching that final play, I think you can understand why they would be apprehensive about having someone on the field that, you can argue cost them the game.
Yeah, could have. They released Cannon, so you got to figure Bell or Freeman are now active this week.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a revenge game for Bell, if we would believe in those sort of fictitious things in the world. But I'm only ranking Williams and Murray. I still have Williams higher than Murray because I don't think that Murray's going to be very involved in the passing game, even though I know it's a skill he does possess. But they're tough. I mean, if you can go away from it, do so. But we're all playing the guessing game because we thought at least I thought I had it right with Williams being the lead guy and getting most of the touches, and that didn't even turn out to be correct. I mean, he had the better fantasy day, but he didn't have the most touches from the running back position. He did catch 3 balls. He probably could have caught 4 or 5 if there was some more communication.
Yeah, well, the one was just a god-awful throw.
He was wide open in the end zone on the touchdown to Hollywood Brown.
Yeah. Well, there were several people wide open.
He was just standing in the corner there. Yeah.
I think
When you buy yourself 20 seconds worth of time, somebody's going to get open.
So I think you're still. I mean, I think we're in the flex. If you play one flex, Williams is viable. If you play two flexes, Murray's viable. I think
if you're desperate at running back, they're arguably both.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're playing Ken's Goofy League with 4 flexes, you might be playing Le'Veon Bell.
You might be. But it's one of those things. We'll see where they go. I mean, nothing was really said about it. They're not going to say anything about it. But after week 1, it's tough to trust anything of who's going to get the touches. And the only good thing is that you got to figure it's going to be a very high scoring game. So maybe both of them are viable.
Okay, I mean, it's possible, although it could also mean that they're throwing the ball a ton, and I don't know.
That's the case.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know. This is the
worked out well early in the second half for him.
Yep. All right, so there's that. Eli Mitchell appeared to be the only particularly real waiver wire guy this week.
Well, he wasn't the only one from the running back position.
Yes. Are you a believer in Eli Mitchell, or are people getting themselves too worked up?
Can both things be true?
Probably.
Am I a believer? Yes, because I like the talent coming into the draft, and the fact that the only reason that he wasn't on everybody's radar like in draft season, and I actually did in some deeper leagues. I found out, didn't remember, but I actually had him already in 2 leagues.
Huh.
But because they drafted Sermon as early as they did, and they had Mostert, and when some drafts, I mean, you in 6 weeks you're going to get Wilson back, and they had Hardy from last year who got a couple of carries here and there and had one decent game. And the way they used the running backs, I wasn't going overboard for him. Now, I saw some fab where 88% of the fab was used. Sometimes.
I mean, if you're a Mostert owner,
but it's also one of these things. What if he is the James Robinson of this year, and this is his job, and maybe Sermon was a healthy scratch, so maybe there's some problems there that we're not aware of outside of the doghouse that Shanahan has and the crazy shenanigans that he normally does at running back.
I blame John Harbaugh. You said doghouse, so I mean that's
whatever. John doesn't have a doghouse. That's what he tells us all the time. But anyway, I think obviously he was the number one ad this week. I had about a 30 to 35% of my fab budget kind of in my mind and was telling people that's where you go. But in some places you could do that and get them, and in other places, I mean, you weren't even close to getting them. $100 fab in one league, somebody bid $88. Like, well, okay, you have them.
Yeah, right. Now, what are you doing the rest of the year? Yeah, right.
I don't even know if Sermon's active this week. I don't even know. I mean, he's no more than a flex to me this week. But he should be owned. Hopefully it works out. But it's San Francisco. It's New England. I mean, whatever we saw last week doesn't mean that we're going to see it anymore.
100%.
I picked up Hasty in one league just on the off chance that,
Look, at a when you're talking value in the league that $88, I got Hasty for $6. I mean, value-wise, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. He's going to get touches now. He's going to be like he should be active until Wilson. I guess in week 7 is the period. I guess until Wilson's there. I mean, they're gonna. I don't know if they have anybody else, but it's Sermon, Mitchell, and Hasty. I mean, those are the 3 backs that are going to be active on game day, and the way they use their running back, sure.
He got a goal line carry last week.
He did.
I get it.
He absolutely did. I mean, and he's a good back. I mean, I had him last year in places. In dynasty leagues, I have him all over the place. Mm-hmm. But if everybody was healthy, we still wouldn't know what to do with the San Francisco 49er backfield. So now all these people that are out there on Twitter saying, "Oh, you got to go get him because he's going to," you don't know that. They don't. That's not how Shanahan does things. It's never how he does things. And Mitchell could be active and not get a carry this week. I don't think that happens, but they drafted Sermon in the second round for a reason.
Third, I believe.
Okay, I thought it was second, but Mitchell was a sixth. I know that.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, I don't know.
It was the third.
Okay.
And he normally gets those things wrong.
No,
so.
he's usually pretty good on that.
Weirdly, he's good on ones from like 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, he gets, and then the one from this year, he never gets right. Like
just got it right.
This one you did get right.
Okay.
But like the ones from 10 years ago, he remembers like a savant.
I forget to draft like the moment it's over.
I understand that.
People go.
I understand that.
on to the next year.
We were having a conversation about Creed Humphrey the other day, and this
he
came
was
up.
very late in the second.
But
so
he was a
like
second round pick. Was the point?
63rd overall.
The point was he was a second round pick. You didn't get it right. You don't get to try to say that like you got it right. You got it wrong. He was a second round pick.
Well, how's he doing in fantasy?
Terrible, awful, just an awful fantasy pickup. All right, I want to talk more broadly about what was real and what wasn't, as far as what we saw, both good and bad, in fantasy football last week. The things that are worth overreacting to, the things that are not worth overreacting to from week one in fantasy football. So I'm just going to bounce around. I'm going to start with the bad.
Okay.
James Robinson.
Ugh. So the week before, I made a throwaway comment on our show, and I said the only thing that can really screw this up is Urban Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. He loves Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde's going to get carries. James Robinson either is just he doesn't have the usage.
He had 6 targets.
Yeah. I mean, it just in a game that they were down by like 30 points. But when the game was close early, he was not on the field enough for me to be that RB1 that we thought he was a surefire against a bad team in Houston.
And a guy that I was going out of my way to draft. I was going out of my way to draft James Robinson.
I was too, because I'm sorry. He was so good last year.
You don't have to say you're sorry. We all saw it.
He was so good. And I went back. It was funny. I went back to my article in week 1 from last year, and I wrote about James Robinson in my sleeper article, and I talked about how great I thought he was coming into the draft, how his game tape was there, and that he was a really good back, and you should be starting him, and he's going to be good in the NFL. Turned out to be right.
Yeah.
But you have Urban Meyer, who, look, I don't think he belongs in the NFL. I don't think he's an NFL coach.
Well, he might not be there very long.
Well, who knows? I mean, there's a million stories out there, but only he can screw it up, and he's screwing it up. He's playing a journeyman guy over the Rookie of the Year basically last year. I don't know if he actually won it, but I guess Herbert did. But he was so good. He was a top 10 guy. You got to think he was a top 12 guy. I'm worried about James Robinson and his usage unless somehow Carlos Hyde does what he does from time to time, which is get hurt. And I don't wish that on him, but I don't think Robinson's any better than a flex right now.
Jamar Chase. This one's the one. This is the one where I'm mad at you, but I'm more mad at me, because I let you do to me the thing that I know better than, which is to react to anything that happens before the first football game is played.
So let me tell you this about Jamar Chase. He looked terrific, and the talent was always there. He had the yips, and he couldn't catch the ball, and he was starting to make excuses. But even more so, it's a tough offense to predict now, because you have Mixon for as long as Mixon is healthy. You have T. Higgins, who continued what he did in his rookie year. You still have Boyd getting targets. My thing was more so, I don't know how many targets every week Jamar Chase is going to get. So is it real? I think it's going to be inconsistent. I think he's going to have weeks like that where he has the better matchup, and maybe now that he's had a good matchup and he's put that on film, maybe teams are saying, well, we better do something about him, and now Boyd's more open underneath and things like that. So he's outside of my top 24, so he's a wide receiver 3 for me this week. I'd like to see him stack a couple of these together before I'm starting him over other guys that had more targets and are a little bit more established.
No, let's go back to the bad side. Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah. Started him in 3 leagues.
Somebody who I told to start Ayuk over. Now I told him to start Ayuk over Cortland Sutton, and Sutton did nothing too.
Ayuk did literally nothing.
Literally nothing. What? I don't know. I mean, he's in the doghouse.
Do you have to bench him this week?
I don't think you have to, but if you have a viable, safe option, I mean,
like you're going Jacoby Myers over Brandon Ayuk.
I am. I mean, guys that are getting targets and stuff like that. The Debo thing, look, on the flip side of that, the Debo thing is real because he was really good last year till he got hurt. But I mean, Ayuk's a good player. How long does it? I can't trust him this week.
You can't. You're not cutting him.
I'm not cutting him. No.
Right.
I'm not. I mean,
do you believe that it was simply we like this guy in training camp? He jumped Ayuk on the depth chart, or do you think it was the injury that was keeping him out?
No, I think he broke a team rule or something. I mean, Trent
Sherfield.
Whatever.
You better show some respect. It's Trent Sherfield we're talking about.
No freaking idea who he was till he caught the touchdown pass.
That's why we're doing the Press Box Fantasy Show with John Proctor next week.
I had no idea. He caught a touchdown pass on tight end, and Jacksonville caught a touchdown pass. It was all in the first quarter. It's like, this is just going swimmingly. You don't cut him, but he's tough to start until he. I mean, coaches that do this just are maddening. I mean, it's like he was active. I mean, there's nothing before.
He played 26 snaps still.
Right, he did. He played 20. You say I think it was after. I think he benched the first quarter or something like that. Who knows? He's a good player. He's part of that offense. I still trust in the talent. Last year was not. I don't believe last year was a fluke of what he did. But I also wasn't as high on him as a lot of people were because Debo was going to be back and George Kittle was going to be back, and there weren't going to be as many targets. He was it last year for a while. He was the guy. It was him and Bourne.
We got to go rapid fire because we got to get a break in here. A couple other names I'll throw out. On the quarterback front, a good Jameis Winston.
He's in a good offense. So, I mean, he's not going to throw 5, and he's also not going to throw 5 with no yards. So, yeah, I mean, he's a QB2 now.
Ryan Tannehill on the bad.
I'll think he's still a QB1 for me right now. Too much talent there. That was just, again, you get behind, you're forced to throw, you go away from your run game. I'll reserve still on a hold with him.
Jawan Johnson.
You know where I've been with him.
I know, but are you playing him?
If I
even with Troutman getting as many targets and snaps as he did.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes I know you don't believe anything anybody says in the preseason, but they told us the entire preseason this kid's going to play and he's a red zone target and everybody loves him. And is he going to score 2 touchdowns every week? No, but he's going to be a red zone target for them continually. I spent some money on him in Fab in the one place I didn't have him. He's startable depending on your situation.
Right.
I mean, he's not a top 12 guy. We're not going crazy, but he's now in the, he was outside of, he was the 36th ranked tight end on average last week. Now he's in the top 24. I mean, you can't ignore that too much. So he should be owned. If he's not owned, you need to own him. Every week he's not going to score 2, but he's going to be involved in the offense.
All right, remind everybody what Underdog Fantasy Football is all about.
Underdog Fantasy Football. Unfortunately, you cost yourself $15.
You did. You cost yourself $25.
Well, 15 because you can still get 10.
Okay, all right.
You can still get 10.
I didn't know if that was official or not.
It's on the website.
All right, then it better be official.
I thought it was on the website.
It seems like there's a bit of a communication issue around these
Maybe
parts.
I was looking at a different website.
Nope, you're right.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought I was looking at it.
Just seems like the type of thing that somebody should have mentioned to the host of the Glenn Clark radio program.
I'm just going by what I said.
I was told that was something that might be coming, but I was never told it was coming.
Okay, well, you cost yourself $15 because up until yesterday, you're giving you $25 for depositing 10, but now we're going to give you 10. If you deposit 10, we're going to match.
So you're still going to get 10 more, $10 for free.
Have.
Yes, exactly right.
And they have all kinds of games. You can play weekly draft games. You can play over under. You can play pick'ems. It's fun. It's a fun. I'm actually playing Underdog. I'm like playing a couple of games on the other platforms, but I played a bunch on Underdog. I won a couple of dollars. I didn't hit my big one on Monday night. Thanks, Mark Andrews. But it's you don't have to play fantasy in traditional place. And the great part is, if you like more of a betting aspect to it, and unfortunately Maryland hasn't figured that out yet. The pick'em is just like player props.
Mm-hmm.
It's just over under player props. You have to. You can't just do one at a time. You have to do at least two. But if you do two, you can double your money.
Yep.
If you hit them both. I went for the big money and played 4 on Monday night. I hit 3.
Yeah.
And the one I was the most confident in, Mark Andrews over 5.5 catches, did not happen.
Wouldn't happen even if you caught that one.
It would not.
He still hated a few more.
But they may have thrown to him more if
that drive had extended, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, it's free to play. I mean, it's literally $10. You're going to spend $10 at lunch today, so why not go and, spend less, drink some water.
Don't eat lunch.
Yeah, who needs to eat? Well, you're gonna.
You're having breakfast.
I don't know if you heard of Yom Kippur.
I mean, tomorrow
you're not going to be. You're not going to be right. You're not
take
that money.
Take that $10.
Yes.
And go sign up. Go on to PressBoxOnline.com/fantasy. Click on the Underdog link and sign up, and they will give you $10 once you deposit 10 and have fun. And Thursday, I'm going to give you my thoughts on a couple of player props that I like from there, and you can win money easy.
Very good. If you've got questions for week 2 of fantasy football season, this is your last call to get them in. At Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, we'll pose them to KZ, or put them in the comments of the video. We'll pose them to KZ next. This is the PressBox Fantasy Football Show.
Need to hone your computer skills to boost your career? Or maybe you want an IT certification? CCBC Continuing Education has the courses and programs you need for a career in the computer field. And it's all tuition free. From the basics to specialized training, we have the classes you need, from hardware to programming to cybersecurity, and so much more. It's your choice. It's your career. Call 443-840-4700 or visit ccbcmd.edu/computer training.
Glory Days Grill's popular Oktoberfest menu is back, and it features their delicious chicken schnitzel, 2 chicken cutlets, hand-breaded in herb panko and pan-fried until golden brown, served with mustard cream sauce, mashed potatoes, and roasted vegetables. Their menu also includes your favorites like the Oktoberfest Brewer's Platter, Brewer's Sausage Sandwich, Prussian Pretzel Rolls, Slam Dunk Pretzels, and Apple Cobbler. All of these meals pair well with their many Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine on their patios or in their dining room, or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill has been proud to serve the community for the last 25 years. Thank you, fans.
If you change lanes and brake suddenly in front of my tractor trailer, I won't be able to stop. Our lives could change forever. Trucks need room to stop. Don't cut it close.
Brought to you by the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration.
What's up, everybody? This is Tyus Bowser. I can't wait to see you guys for the Tyus Bowser Show this fall. We're going to be taking the show on the road all over the area. You can meet me and my very special guests. If you can't make it out, you can watch the show on live on PressBox Facebook page or listen the next day. Find out more about where we'll be by checking out PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. We'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show.
It's brought to you by Express Exterior Design, Grade 8's Memorabilia, and PressBox. Oh, all right, back in here in the PressBox Fantasy Football Show. PressBox Fantasy Football Show also brought to you by the Baltimore Ravens. Perhaps you've heard of them. They've got a big game coming up, and you're going to want to be there. I mean, it's going to be a big,
It's a big game.
It's a big game.
Huge game.
You're gonna.
How many 0-2 teams make the playoffs? I've heard that stat before.
I've heard that
11.7%.
11.7%.
But it's a 16-game season, so
I know,
throw all the stats out the window.
I know, throw it all out.
Doesn't
matter.
Every seat is the best seat at M&T Bank Stadium. Don't miss a moment of Ravens football this season. Single game tickets are now available at BaltimoreRavens.com/tickets. All right, so here are my wide receivers. I'm not benching Calvin Ridley, despite the fact that the Falcons are garbage.
They are.
So I'm going to have to start 2 of Cortland Sutton, Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, Hollywood Brown.
I mean, we're going to go Brown. He looked really good.
He did.
While he's healthy, let's go. He had targets, caught the ball, and they gave it to him in a little bit of space so he can use his speed a little bit. Enjoyed that. If Andrews isn't his favorite target, Brown is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go there. I mean, everything tells me Sutton because you got Judy out.
Glenn's going to start Chase. I can already tell.
I mean, I don't know how I don't. I don't know how you leave Jamar Chase on your bench in week 1 and then do it to yourself in week 2.
So I have Chase higher.
That's all I needed to know.
I don't love the matchup, but I also, but I have him higher. I have him as 28, so I will say Chase.
I need 2 running backs from DeAndre Swift, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Robinson, and Eli Mitchell.
Swift and Helaire.
Okay. And then I need to drop somebody to get a kicker back on because I used my kicker in order to pick up Eli Mitchell. My options would be to drop Le'Veon Bell, drop Tony Jones, or to drop Latavius Murray. Not dropping Murray. I guess would have to drop Bell, right?
I mean, you would have to drop Bell. I mean, Jones.
Well, I could drop Brandon Ayuk.
No, let's not do that.
I
mean, it's a problem when you draft well and have good players. You got to draft somebody good. But right now, Bell hasn't played. We don't know what it's going to be. We know he's going to be third, the third running back, maybe at best. So, how many touches do you get when you're the third running back?
Well, you say we know that. We don't know anything.
We don't.
We don't know. We could be a week from now that he is the top running back.
All I can make is
there.
an educated guess.
All right, from Ryan wants to know, is he playing Javonte Williams over James Robinson?
I really like Javonte this week.
I'm trying to trade for him, frankly.
Yeah. My rankings say yes.
It's so depressing, man.
I have Javonte at 29.
So
I have James Robinson at 32. Plus, the Robinson matchup is not great against Denver. I mean, there's some of what we saw. There's also the matchup game. It's a brutal matchup.
Also wants to know Mike Evans or Marquez Callaway. Yeah, Mike Evans is a bit of a disappointment. He also he does say that Zach Pascal is also an option.
Not over those guys. I mean, I loved it. 2 touchdowns, even though Paris was healthy, but no.
I was frustrated by Mike Evans in a league last week.
I mean, look, a lot of superstars in the first 3 rounds of drafts were just god awful.
Yep.
God awful.
Yep.
It just was. A running back was brutal.
Yep.
When Henry, Zeke, Saquon, and Robinson all suck, well, I mean, what are we doing? I'm not going to play them this week.
Aaron Jones, too.
Yeah, throw him into it.
The guy that you hated from last week is back in. No, the guy that you killed last week. Same options. James Conner, Mecole Hardman.
Did I at least get it right last week?
You know what? Hang on. No, you didn't. You didn't tell him to play Zach Pascal. All right, hang on. Here's the list.
Sorry.
Here's the list. Conner, Hardman, Pascal, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he's got to play 2.
Got to be in a 16-team league. Okay, we're not. I like Brown, but we're not playing Brown.
All right.
We're gonna play Conner because he was involved enough.
He was.
And then
everybody was involved. For Christ's sakes.
I mean, they have another decent matchup. And then it's
Hardman and Pascal.
Hardman.
Okay.
I just
Lightning striking twice, or being a boom game for Hardman.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, it's not.
I'm the wrong guy to ask. I'm the wrong guy to that question.
He's Zach Pascal.
He said the best options available would be Will Fuller or.
Oh, go grab him!
Isn't he suspended?
No, he's back.
Okay.
Go get him and start him.
Okay. Over Hardman, you're saying?
Yeah, go get him.
Okay, very good. Kyle, go ahead as I reset here.
All right. Tyson Williams.
That's a weird question, and then to follow it back with Fuller's available in the waiver wire.
Let me just get this out of the way. What are you doing in Tampa with Fournette and Ronald Jones after Arians says Ronald Jones is going to be the starter in week 2?
Pray one of them has a boom game and trade him.
Okay, yeah, but what if I need to play a running back this week? I'm between Tyson Williams, the Buccaneers.
I just picked up Will Fuller, by the way, in your league. I don't know if you know this. In your league, Will Fuller was also available.
Okay, I don't
I just picked them up.
people like that.
Tyson Williams.
Oh, you're so high and mighty over here.
I don't even know about. Did I win last week?
I don't
Tyson
know.
Williams.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette.
No.
Ronald Jones. Mark Ingram.
You need one or two.
One.
Oh, Williams. I mean, it is. I loved Ronald Jones coming into last week. I lost money on Ronald Jones on his measly 47.5 player prop for rushing yards, and then he got benched, and then Fournette did nothing. So, great. He's the starter. They're going to use both. Let's go with Williams. Williams is my highest ranked guy.
Okay.
I mean, none of them are super high.
What about James Robinson? Or one of A.J. Dillon, James White, and Latavius Murray?
I mean, it's still James Robinson of that group. I mean, if you want to play the highest scoring game on the table game, then you go Murray. If you want to play the guy that was the most involved, it's probably Robinson. Tough matchup, but I mean that's where we are with the Ravens backfield, though. I mean, we're just does he get 10? Does he get the same 10, 12 touches again? Does he score a touchdown?
Need to play.
I mean, PPR, straight PPR, White's safe.
Half-point PPR. Need to play. So I'm basically deciding between Ezekiel Elliott, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, and Kareem Hunt for 2 running backs and a flex.
Zeke, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Who were the other two?
Swift and Kareem Hunt.
And Swift.
Currently, I have Swift. Yeah, that's what I have currently.
I mean,
and Zeke, you just have to ride out.
I mean, I know it was garbage time, and you know, I wasn't getting too excited over garbage time until somebody said to me, goes, you know,
there's going to be a lot of garbage time.
Yeah.
And then I guess
it was what I said to you. We were talking about this.
I know.
Lastly, I suppose you're going Jacoby Myers over Odell Beckham until you see Beckham do something worthwhile.
Until he plays, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a healthy scratch. He's not ready to play, apparently, based on what they saw pre-game. So, yeah.
And then
Myers had a good target share.
He did. And then lastly, in the good old press box league, James Robinson.
Do I play you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
James Robinson, James White, and a full-point PPR, keep in mind. Actually, is it? I think it is.
Full-point PPR, it's White there.
Okay.
I have them in the same tier.
Kyle's playing Team Crowther Sled. Who's that?
That's Stan, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So I have them 32 and 35 in a half-point PPR, so White gets the uptick in the
You're playing who's Team Press Boxer then?
That is John.
It's John Colson?
Yeah.
No, then who's better, Colson?
It's his son.
His son.
Oh, his son. Oh,
Did
okay.
I win last week?
You did.
Oh,
you were
okay.
victorious.
Fantastic. Who'd I beat?
I don't know. We'll find out.
It might be I don't know. Well, that's about it.
Okay, very good. Nick Kelly wants to know PPR, Kyle Pitts or Gerald Everett?
Oh, Pitts. I mean, I know everybody was disappointed, but they threw the ball at him constantly.
How about a Deontay Johnson or Deebo Samuel?
Ooh, I would ask you who else you are playing. Still Deontay Johnson for me. I like them both, but I mean Johnson. No matter what anybody wants to believe and wanted to believe all off season, Deontay Johnson is the number one receiver in Pittsburgh. Period.
Okay, all right. No, I hear you. They didn't really do a lot offensively last week.
Yeah, but he had like 10 targets.
Did he really?
And a touchdown.
I know. Well, the touchdown was spectacular. The touchdown was.
I know Debo blew up. That was without Ayuk. You assume Ayuk's back. It was a cake matchup because Detroit stinks. So
all right. It's 12:07, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Give me. Sorry, if you didn't get your questions in at Fans Fantasy on Twitter,
here.
That's the way to go about doing it.
I have nothing to do. No, I shouldn't say that.
No,
I will have some downtime tomorrow.
Yes. A restful day.
when I'm not praying or taking a nap, I will have time for your questions.
What else do people need to know about going into week 2?
I don't know. It's only Wednesday. Let's not panic. I know it was awful. The injuries were awful.
I'm panicked about James Robinson.
Okay.
I'm effing panicked.
I'm not going to panic yet. I mean, I'm highly concerned.
I'm highly, highly, highly concerned.
I'm highly concerned, but I'm not panicking. Look, Barkley had a tough matchup on paper, so we didn't really expect a whole lot. The Zeke thing was disappointing in the usage, but a tough matchup, and they just decided to go in a different direction in the game plan. Henry will be okay. Aaron Jones will be okay. I know in week 1 everybody's excited. You know, the Judy thing sucks because he was looking like a target monster. Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler must be picked up in all leagues because, he's I think it's 6 to 8 weeks. They said 4 to 6 weeks, but we'll see what happens. San Francisco backfield, take your chances. And then Damian Harris, I know he fumbled. Everybody fumbled except James White. James White's not going to be the lead back. He's still going to have his role. Damian Harris ran the ball really well last week. Don't worry, he's still the starter there.
All right, very good. At Fans Fantasy on Twitter. Of course, all of his stuff at PressBoxOnline.com. And don't forget that the Oktoberfest menu is back at Glory Days Grill, including that incredible chicken schnitzel, 2 chicken cutlets, hand-breaded in herb panko and pan-fried until golden brown, served with mustard cream sauce, mashed potatoes, and roasted vegetables. It also, that Oktoberfest menu includes favorites like the Oktoberfest Brewer's Platter, the Brewer's Sausage Sandwich, the Prussian Pretzel Rolls, Slam Dunk Pretzels, and Apple Cobbler. All of these meals pair well with their many Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in on their patios or in their dining rooms. Or you can order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill has been proud to serve the community for the last 25 years and says thank you, fans. Back to Thursdays next week. Back to Thursdays, the Press Box Fantasy Football Show. We'll see you next Thursday, 11:30 a.m. KZ, appreciate you, bud.
Thanks, guys.
It's been the Press Box Fantasy Football Show with Ken Zalis.